in the industry where, we get so caught up in the day to day and I have to call this person back. I need to do this. I need to do this. Just taking that time to spread a little bit of joy is so huge. So I make sure every day, even yesterday, we're at Schnucks at the deli counter. I see someone, they're in a wheelchair coming up. He's kind of struggling. He's got to get the ticket for the deli. And I handed him mine and got a new number. And he couldn't believe it. And my kids were even like, Mom, we were next. But that's going to
Yeah.
brighten that man's day.
Not
And
only that, what did you just teach your kids?
exactly. So I try to keep that at the forefront of my mind, no matter how stressed or focused I am on a loan. I want that kindness to come first.
Welcome back to another Loan Officer Spotlights on the Possibility Podcast. And today's guest, one could argue, I probably know better than all of the other guests. Why? Because she joined under me many, many moons ago when I was actually in the business, took over my business, which she's going to tell you about. And I'm not biased here, but is just frankly a stud. But I'm going to let her tell you her story because it's far better coming from her. So welcome to the show, Michelle Lambrich. And so let's start with you telling us about your story. How'd you come up in the business? How'd you find us in the first place to end up here?
So, coming up in the business, just straight out of high school, I actually was working for a local coffee shop, like a mom and pop style coffee shop. I was a barista and I was making coffees for a lot of people that worked next door at a local bank. And they talked me into coming into the banking world. And I loved it. So I still stayed at the coffee shop, worked the early mornings there, and then I would go to work 9 a.m., 10 a.m., go to the bank until 6, come back, close up the coffee shop. So very busy back then, but I loved every minute of it. And after a couple of years of working in the coffee shop or in the banking world, I was at the Lake of the Ozarks on a weekend and ran into you through family. And you kind of were like, if you ever decide that you want to make a change, reach out. I was very dedicated to the bank. So I think it was another year and a half that finally I saw that glass ceiling that people talk about, that I'm probably going to be, in the same position for a while. Maybe I should reach out. I think that was mid-October and I started working with you on November 1st, 2011.
Wow. I don't remember that. I don't remember that we met at the lake. I remember meeting you at your uncle's pool here in St. Louis. And maybe we met there and then it carried forward the lake, which ironically, the Lake of the Ozarks of all places.
Mhm.
And I will say this, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I recruited not just you. There was another person from a bank, and there was probably another, two or three, which just all of a sudden just sparked into my head
Mhm.
like, what a great breeding ground
Yeah.
for mortgage LOs, for just mortgage, employees, basically.
Yeah, really is.
So you came over to the dark side. You
Mhm.
left Cush 9 to 5, every holiday off. Nobody bothers you after 5 o'clock, and
Mhm.
came into this chaos.
Yes. Yes. Looking back, I always think about this. I should have used some of that time that I had built up, like vacation time, and taken a long vacation before I came over, because no one had my cell phone number besides
Mhm.
coworkers, no clients. It was like when you leave there, it's quiet. I had built up all this time. I should have used some of it because it's been go, go, go ever since.
Sounds kind of amazing. So you came over here and kind of what was that progression then? Because obviously I know it, but not everybody else does.
Yeah, so I started like I said, in 2011 as your loan officer assistant, and just really learned so much in a short amount of time. And we would meet regularly and discuss progression. And it wasn't long after that we decided it makes sense for me to get licensed. and just kind of start taking over the client communication and start really originating. So 2000, so I think I was here for about a year before I got licensed. And then yeah, just started originating from there, adding additional states, helping with other loan officers, and just the growth has really just continued. And I mean, I think that looking back, like I said at the bank, I felt that I had kind of plateaued, that there wasn't going to be more growth
Mm-hmm.
at any point in time soon. And I was really wanting to see that happen. Coming here and not knowing as much as I did at the bank, it felt very intimidating at first. Like, am I ever going to be able to teach anybody anything when everyone's having to teach me constantly how to do this stuff? And then I just saw, like, the more that we learn about guidelines and different programs that we can offer, the more we can teach others that are new coming in. And that's what I really love about the business.
Yeah. Yeah, really, in hindsight, if for anybody watching this, if you are a top producing loan officer who's maybe struggled to hire an LOA, I think this story is really a true success of an evolution. And it wasn't fast. It was slow, right? It just because when I hired you, we had no intent of you taking over the business. Maybe we talked about that. I don't think we did. And it just kind of happened, but it was just kind of steady and I even remember now that you were talking about this, that I told you you wouldn't have to deal with customers after hours in the beginning, and then it
Yeah.
evolved into that, right? And like it evolved into everything basically.
It did. Yep. Just step by step. There was, it's always been a climb of new things that we can take on. And it's been optional, if you want to take this on, here you go. And I've wanted to every step along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Doug Shukar always said, I'm going to probably butcher this, but he always says that loan officers have three traits, but no one has all three. And it's work ethic, it's and it's something else. Do you remember what the third one was?
Mm-mm. No.
Um, but I will say that to me, work ethic is definitely one of the two that you definitely have. And you kind of have a story about what has created that work ethic, which what made you an incredible LOA and then has since carried forward into being a loan officer.
Yeah. So, I mean, just kind of looking back over, because I've had people, coworkers, maybe even you or clients, referral partners comment on work-life balance or work, just like you don't stop. You always, you're always answering your phone. Where'd this work ethic come from? And looking, just kind of examining my life and figuring this out. Um, I grew up as a daughter of an Army sergeant. So, school was so important and just being a rule follower. And is how I grew up. If we didn't do our homework or we were like, I don't want to eat that or I don't want to try that, I'm not going to clean my room. It was planks, wall sits, sit-ups, push-ups, whatever you can think of. My brother and I joke that we can do the longest wall sits out of any of our friends or the longest planks because we grew up. That was the punishment that we
What
would
is a
get.
what is a wall sit? Like pretending like you're sitting on a chair but leaning up against a wall?
Mhm. Yeah. And like putting my dad would put books on our knees even to have us hold those. And it wasn't torture by any means. It was more of it taught us not to be stubborn and it taught us to work hard. So and sometimes we just did it for fun as competitions between us. So just kind of looking back, if you were too sick to go to school, then you're not going to the movies with your friends that night. If you got bad grades, you're not going to do this fun activity. And that's how I've treated life in general ever since. It's just in me now. If I'm not doing good at work, I'm not going to reward myself. So that's just kind of how I was brought up and it stuck with me. But in the same, that work ethic, the same thing comes from him. My dad is, I saw this incredible leader who was also just so kind and just able to, if he saw someone having a bad day, he would do whatever he could to turn it around, or someone struggling, like a coworker or a family member or friend, he could make anybody laugh and could just, find a way to cheer that person up. So I have that in me too, where if I can just sense it in a room that someone's having a bad day or, something's, I'll I can be really silly, or, I can just try. I can't stand knowing that someone's upset or sad. So while being a good leader is super important to me and having good work ethic, caring about others and helping support others is equally important to me.
Yeah. Well, in today's world, your dad's parenting style would be probably considered abuse because people are just soft. But that's what made that generation different because it wasn't torture as you used the word. It was parenting, and it's what helped mold you as into who you are today. Um, it's just irony that we happen to connect, and I have the same work ethic, and I think it's another piece of advice I'd give to people is that, like, and I used to always tell people this, like when you're looking to hire an LOA, and I told you the same thing, try to find your mini me from a work ethic standpoint because you'll meld and mold very well together. But try to find somebody whose strengths are your weaknesses. And that's exactly what we did. Your strength is details. My strengths are relationships and networking. And usually one, if you're great at one, you're not necessarily great at the other, and vice versa, right? And so I think that has a big part of why we've had a lot of success. And so you went from LOA to, and it just kind of progressed to where you literally just took over the business. You're in management now as well. So maybe bring everybody up to speed on kind of what you do today.
So today I am still originating. I'm currently licensed in 7 states. And another role here that I have is sales development manager. So helping any new loan officer or any of our loan officers, no matter how long they've been here, if they need help with, so our newer loan officers, the focus is going to be onboarding,
Mhm.
teaching them our software, teaching them different platforms that we use, telling them about marketing, things I've had success with in the past, and then guiding them as they do their first, 5, 10, 15 loans really heavily.
Mhm.
But our loan officers who have been here for years, they might see, why, what does this button do? Or how do I do this? Or I'm just really stuck on this file and can't get an AUS approval, which is like our Fannie or our Freddie automated approvals. And just helping them through that. This job can be pretty stressful. There can be a lot of pressure, and just helping to alleviate that for whether you're brand new in the business or you've been here for years.
Yeah. As we're sitting here talking, I was thinking to myself, I could basically I'd be your best promoter. I could easily promote you, which is leading me to my next question because I could answer the question I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to let you answer it, which is, okay, now that we've kind of set that table, we've laid the foundation. Why would a real estate agent want to work with you?
So going back to the work ethic, I mean, going back to communication, setting realistic expectations, that's something that you had taught me right in the very beginning of coming here. And not that I didn't do it at the bank, but this is so different of just, I mean, the loan is truly, the whole process is in our hands, and making sure every person involved in the transaction, so the agent, the title company, the homeowner's insurance company, the client, everyone needs to know what's going on for it to be successful. So just over communicating, making myself available. There are times in the transaction where some may forget to send an update and the agent doesn't know, is the appraisal happening? Did what's going on? So communication is everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I would, and let me articulate it a little bit differently,
Mhm.
is that there's a lot of loan officers out there that sadly really suck at communication. I can tell you right now, I would put Michelle up against anybody in the industry. And as much as it's a compliment, it can also, to the right person, to me, it's a compliment, but to a lot of other humans, it's like, ew, like, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to make yourself available at 3 o'clock on a Sunday? Why would you make yourself available at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday? And what's your answer to that question to the people that say, ew?
It's just it comes natural to me at this point. If my phone's not ringing on the weekend, now that makes me nervous. I want to hear from people. I want to be needed in this industry. So, the phone ringing is a good problem to have. And in the evenings, and we're working with people that we enjoy doing business with. So if you message me on a Tuesday night at 9 p.m., like you said, and I'm available, why not respond? We're all friends at this point. We've been working together for years for the most part. So I'm just saying, maybe I'm driving home from my son's baseball game, but I'll text you as soon as as soon as we park.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to drive away from the field, but as soon as we park, I'll get to work on this. We can always set that expectation. And if you're available, you're available. And a lot of this stuff has gotten so automated and we're paperless. We have apps. We can help on the go. So why not help?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love it. And I mean, obviously to me, you know what it reminds me of, and you'll remember this story, but we had a meeting, and I'm going to remove names, but we had a meeting with a peer, my peer, who was in my position. It was a manager, and this person's Michelle. So that person's LOA. And I remember the conversation and this manager saying, yeah, we set very strict boundaries, and we don't answer our phone after 5 o'clock. And we have voicemails that say that we'll call you during business hours. And I remember not only looking at you, but probably telling you when we left that meeting, like, what an idiot. Like, I get it. I get why you would say that, but when I hear somebody say something like that, I think to myself, I'll answer your agent's call at 5:01, you moron. Like,
Yeah.
I'll steal your business, you idiot. Like,
Mhm.
and again, it just comes from a place of, I guess it's work ethic, because I look at it the same way as you. If I'm sitting on the couch watching the game, to say I'm not going to answer the phone is just me being lazy. I mean, why do I want to push that off to the next day? And in our business, potentially push it off to another freaking competitor. Like, why would I want to do that?
Right.
But, you and I get that. I just think, I guess that's a part of the that you have or you don't have. And
Mhm.
by the way, the third one was knowledge.
Oh,
It was
that makes
knowledge.
sense.
It was, yeah, yeah. It just came to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to progress forward here. Knowing that you've had a lot of years in the business, you've been in it since 2011, and I'm sure you've got some really cool stories, whether they were crazy, memorable, just successful. What's the story that just you'll never forget?
So just kind of thinking about this, and I know that there are some that happened right in the beginning that stick out in my mind, but a more recent story and just with the current market that we're in, something important to highlight. I was working with a veteran who came to me for a second opinion and said, my main focus is interest rate, and this lender is getting me this low rate. What can you do? And his agent actually referred him to me for a second opinion because she thought his closing costs were high. But he was so dialed in on the rate that he didn't really look at the breakdown of the cost. So after looking at this with me, and basically we just hopped on a call and I scrolled through his loan estimate and I see that he's paying 2 points for the rate. But this other lender, if we're looking at apples to apples on closing costs, somehow didn't disclose taxes. They put 0.01. So they put a cent in for real estate taxes, throwing off the whole loan estimate.
Oopsie.
Yeah. And something like $20 a month in for homeowners insurance. So really throwing off this loan estimate for this veteran who was looking at bottom line dollar and interest rate. And when I put this together for him and showed him, like, this is going to go up drastically once you get your final cost, your loan estimate, because this other lender isn't putting the numbers on here right. The agent even went back to the other lender and said, hey, we noticed this about the taxes and the insurance. Could you correct this? They never did. They never sent him updated fees. And really, had they not gotten that second opinion, they would have gotten all the way until, a week or so before closing and been stuck. So just that one just sticks out in my head as like a wow moment. Just taking the time to go through that with him instead of saying, yeah, I can't beat that rate, I'm sorry, or sounds like you're in great hands elsewhere. I mean, just taking those 5 minutes to go through it with him, make sure he understood what he was looking at, present him with what we could offer. We saved him close to $10,000.
And did you mention it was a veteran?
Mhm.
Yeah. That's that. I mean, not that it makes any one borrower,
Mhm.
higher than another, but I think it's pretty important to note that.
Mhm.
Very cool. I love it. You've got a lot going on. So, and we didn't touch on this, but as you mentioned in your previous life, when you were a barista in the morning and then the bank and the barista, you can't do that when you're married with kids. You've evolved. And now, as you mentioned, your son's ball game. Tell us about your family.
So I am married and I have two boys. I have been married since 2011, so just 5 months before I started working with you, I married someone who I actually met through the coffee shop. So
Ah,
it's kind of all like when you look at it full circle experiences here. But and then shortly after I started working here, I had Liam, our first son, and he is 12. And then a couple years later, Evan, who is 9. So time is flying. They're involved in a lot of sports. We're having a lot of fun. The latest addition to the sports is actually competitive fishing, which pretty cool. I didn't
yeah,
even know, kids could get involved in that, and we're really enjoying it.
that's awesome. You've got two
Mhm.
boys, right? I mean,
Mhm.
they are into boy things,
Yes.
which I don't know what that's like. Um, Awesome. And you also, in addition to that, so you're perpetually accessible. You are Mother of the Year, and you also are very charitable with your time. Tell us about, I know there's a couple of things that you have going on, so you start where you want to start that on that.
So I would say the one that most recently sticks out is going to be fostering puppies or adult dogs. In 2023, I was actually going into Stray Rescue in the summer to make a donation in honor and in memory of our 13-year-old pit bull who had died that summer. And just planned on actually walking in, giving some cash and some items to them, and then leaving. And they asked if I would ever consider fostering. There was a litter of puppies just right in the other room. I went to meet them and I left with three of them, like, walking out the door with three puppies. And that started a really awesome journey with Stray Rescue. The people there are amazing. They do so much for the dogs all over Missouri, but specifically in the St. Louis area. I fostered the three siblings and ended up adopting one of them, Arlo, who, if you follow me on social, you probably feel like he's your own dog because I post him so much. He comes to the office. He's just awesome. Since then, though, we've fostered a total of 7 dogs, and it's just really rewarding to help a dog find its forever home and stay in touch with the new owner and get to see the dogs grow and, have these families. So I'm constantly looking and seeing what's going on with Stray Rescue and what could I do to help. Something else that I do is Random Acts of Kindness Day. So this is just a self started thing that I do. On March 15th every year, it's the day that my dad passed away. I wanted to put a positive spin on that. He passed away in 2019. So 2020, I didn't do anything. It was like when COVID officially hit, when the Fed cuts happened, was on that day, March 15th, they were announced. So that was a little crazy and distracting in itself. But by 2021, I realized, okay, restrictions are lifting. I can get out, COVID's not such a huge thing. We can get out and do some charity. So my cousin and I, we started the Random Acts of Kindness project. And we wanted it to really revolve around helping veterans, but also just spreading kindness very randomly in the area. So it has been fun to do and a good distraction for my kids and I. And so some items that we've done over the years, or some things, is we've taken 50 goodie bags, just needs that the Veterans Hospital has mentioned to us. We made 50 bags and went and distributed them to the veterans at the hospital. We have done 200 rubber duckies at local playgrounds and had the kids, our own kids, help us spread these out or just walk around and hand them out to kids. And we've taken tons of tennis balls to the dog parks and just thrown tennis balls, of course, asking permission, but to the owners, do you care if we give your dogs a toy? Just throwing these things out and meeting people and just, seeing other people smile. Going into a local coffee shop, because I still love coffee shops, and handing out, actually just putting on the counter a whole stack of these random acts of kindness, like different quotes and things.
Mhm.
Be kind, kindness is free, all these different little stickers. And then each person that gets a sticker gets $1 off their coffee. that morning. So, they're coming in, oh, what are these stickers? And then so I give the stickers and then the cash to help give each person $1 off their coffee. Just the most random things I can think of that may change someone's day and make them smile. Like a pay it forward, pay for the person behind me in line, hold the door for people. I mean, that kind of stuff is daily, but it's just huge to me. And in the industry where, we get so caught up in the day to day, and I have to call this person back. I need to do this. I need to do this. Just taking that time to spread a little bit of joy is so huge. So I make sure every day, I mean, even yesterday, we're at Schnucks at the deli counter. I see someone, they're in a wheelchair coming up. He's kind of struggling. He's got to get the ticket for the deli. And I handed him mine and got a new number. And he couldn't believe it. And my kids were even like, Mom, we were next. But that's going to
Yeah.
brighten that man's day.
Not
And
only that, what did you just teach your kids?
exactly. So I try to keep that at the forefront of my mind, no matter how stressed or focused I am on a loan. I want that kindness to come first.
Yeah. I love it. And now the last question about that is those are in and of themselves are obviously incredible things that you're just doing in life, but you also have kind of figured out a way to use it to kind of help feed the business a little bit. Can you explain kind of how that works for somebody who may not understand that?
Well, within our business too, we have different ways of marketing along with these things. So on the Random Acts of Kindness Day on March 15th, I don't put anything that has to do with my business on anything, just because this is a true day to just get out there and show some love to the community. But on many other events that I'm doing, we have little labels that we can put on things that say how to reach us, and say what we do, because there are a lot of people that will say, oh my gosh, that was so nice, why are you doing this? And well, I wanted to make you smile, but also if you ever know someone who's needing help with their mortgage, I'm here and I would be happy to help them. So I love that part of it, but also it can tie in well with the business, because if you see someone out there doing kind things, spreading joy, but you also know someone who's going to need a loan and you want them to be in good hands with someone who happens to be focused on that sort of thing, then reach out. Here's my contact information.
Yeah, it's the whole giving, and then good things tend to happen.
Mhm.
And I think there's probably some people in this world that look at that and say, "Oh, that's slimy." No, that's marketing. And so it's like when you are an entrepreneur, when you eat what you kill, so to speak, like that is how it works. And it's not that you did this for the sake of your business. You did this because you love dogs. And then the random acts of kindness, as you said, it comes from when your dad passed and you wanted to kind of carry on a legacy.
Mhm.
And honestly, I would say to the person who says that's slimy, I'd say, actually, you're missing opportunity and you're stupid for not trying to use it. And I'm not saying you go into it and think, well, I'm going to go save a dog to get business. No, you
Mhm.
go to do the things first, and then you figure out later on, okay, how can I turn this into business? And in your case, it's like you've used it by creating short form content just really to share your life, the things that I preach about social, and then invariably you gain followers. You get
Right.
people that are commenting. You get people that are now looking into who is this person, which means they're going to
Mhm.
go to your bio. They're going to see, oh, she's a lender. Huh. The next time I need a mortgage, I'm going to remember her because I already love her because I see what she does. She saves
Right.
animals, right? And I love saving animals. And so that's the premise behind it. I love what you're doing. I think it's 10x smarter than traditional marketing and prospecting because it feels better.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, with the puppies, like I said, that wasn't planned at all. Going in and getting them, I actually could not believe it. And on our way home, I thought, oh my gosh, we have 3 puppies in the truck, and how is this going to affect my career in the short term? They're going to probably keep me up at night. They're going to, take some time out of my schedule. Um, but it actually was so good, just for like agents would say like, can I come meet them, or can I, and then it just like I said, it just kind of worked in well with what I do. I can work from home here and there. You guys let us bring, we can have dogs at the office. Um, so also though, with like social media, I'm very beginner level at all of social media. I mean, I'm learning new things every day. But at that time, when I made a very, very short video on the puppies coming home. I actually did this in the truck. My husband was driving. I'm editing this video on our drive home. It was nothing special. And I posted that and I mean just it went crazy because
Mhm.
it was puppies. People love dogs. But 1.6 million views within a very short time. I just wasn't expecting that. And then the comments, it really just helped get the word out there that this organization is in St. Louis. So I thought that's really cool. Just being able to do that.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And I think I'm going to correct something you said that you're a novice on social media because the vast majority of humans in general cannot sit in the car and edit a video. That's not considered novice. So you're
Okay.
comparing yourself to people like me. That's not a fair comparison. And so, yeah, I will give you a compliment and say, no way, you're way more advanced than you give yourself credit. Now, speaking of advancement, last question. I want to know what your predictions are. What are your predictions for the industry? It's been a tough few years. And obviously, I think there's been something northwards like 70% of the industry has not renewed their license and it's left
Right.
the industry. And so you're one of the few that have stuck it out. There must be a reason why, obviously, because you're successful, but also probably because you're optimistic about what the future holds, is my guess. So, where do you see the industry going?
I have watched several 2025 market forecasts and just industry forecasts, and I think the few analysts that I have followed for several years, I'm watching them closely because they've been very accurate through just really crazy times that we've had in the industry. And the projections, I mean, that I just most recently watching Barry Habib from MBS Highway. Um, Rates getting into the high fives, low sixes is the projection for by the end of 2025. And just coming in at the time that I came into this business, or we were originating in the fours, low fives, and that was a very comfortable rate for many people. I think that if we can get to that high five range, it changes a lot of things. It changes affordability, comfortability, and just hearing that rate is not in the sevens or high sixes is so different to many people who have been sitting and waiting.
Mhm.
But I also think that the people who have been waiting are going to be getting out there with so much more competition at that point that maybe now is not a bad time, to do this because as soon as we get into a more comfortable rate being advertised, there are so many people waiting to list their homes, so many people waiting to buy their first home that the competition is going to be extreme at that point.
So are rates where they are today the new norm?
For the short term, I,
Yeah.
I believe so. I mean, we're starting, I think we're going to see in the short term, rates are worsening currently.
Mm.
So but again, there's always the refinance when things improve and you may get a better price on a home right now because I mean, one, it's very cold in many states right now, so there's not as many people out there looking at homes. But two, just people are waiting and holding for that rate to sound better, so they're not out there looking yet. And I really even think that as soon as low sixes are promoted, that's when people are going to say, "This is what I've been waiting for. I'm going to get out there and do it."
Yeah. Yeah. In other words, yeah, if you're waiting for twos and threes, you're going to probably be waiting forever.
Oh yeah,
So the moment that you see any sort of a dip potentially, or don't even base your buying or selling based upon interest rates because base it upon desire, need, whatever, right? And just figure out how to make it work within that interest rate environment because you can always refi if they drop.
correct. Yep.
I love it. I love it. Well, Michelle, thank you for being a guest. This has obviously been a fun conversation. Obviously, I know your story, so it's just fun to rehash. And we don't talk as much as we used to, so it was just great to connect with you. What is the best way for somebody who listened this long to connect with you?
I would say reach out via text or call me. Cell phone is out there, so I'll go ahead and say it, 314-616-0929. We do have a mobile app, super user-friendly, email, obviously, and we have a website, but let's start there. So if you would like to connect, feel free to reach out to me via text or call me. I can social media, all of that. I'm sure I'll link this interview there as well. So I'd
What
love,
is, where are you most active on social?
I think comfortability wise, I go Instagram is kind of where I'm trying to get more active. TikTok was just so easy for me to create
Mhm.
videos, and I know is this our last Monday with TikTok? Who
We
knows?
don't know. Yeah, we don't
Uh,
know. It's a good question.
that I've seen a lot of people saying bye on there recently. So,
Mhm.
and like, here's where you can find me on other social channels. But we'll see. I tend to like going there because it is easier for me, but I'm learning and I'll be more, present on Facebook and Instagram now.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being a guest, and I look forward to watching you continue to flourish, grow, evolve, do great things because I know you will, because that work ethic is second to none. So, thank you for being on, and I'll see you around the office.
All right. Thank you.